By request, today I'm going to dive into more on credit, specifically how your credit score is calculated. The 5 major factors that determine your credit score. So there are 5 different factors, one being payment history, another amount owed, that's debt, length of your credit history, new credit, and your credit mix. All right, we'll go back to the days of geometry school. I know everybody hates school, but it will come in handy today. Let's look at it as a form of a pie chart. Each one of these 5 factors represents a piece of that pie chart, some being more significant than others. We'll start with payment history. Payment history is just what it says. It calculates how many on-time payments and for how long you have made those payments. Payment history is very important, the most important of the 5. It makes up 35% of your credit score, your FICO credit score. Payment history, 35% of that pie. Secondly is the amount that you owe. That's debt versus credit utilization, how much you are using of it. When I say credit utilization, I mean specifically if you have $1,000 worth of credit, a credit line, and you're using $200. $200 will be your credit utilization. So the less that you use, the better off you will be when it comes to your credit score. So they just want to make sure that you are using it responsibly. Your amount owed represents 30% of that pie. So you have payment history, 35% of the pie. Amount owed is 30% of the pie. The third factor that makes up your FICO credit score is going to be length of credit history. So if you're just beginning credit, just now getting your line of credit, your history would be less than a year. So the more years you have been dealing with credit and have used it effectively, that counts in your favor. So the third factor is credit history. It makes up 15% of that pie, of that FICO credit score, okay? So you got 35% for your payment history, 30% amount of debt owed, and the third factor being length of credit history. How many years you have had credit? 15%. The last 2 that we're going to touch are new credit and credit mix. New credit, referencing any new applications, any new credit cards that you have had. If you've done a lot recently, if you apply for numerous different lines of credit recently, it can decline your credit. However, it doesn't stay there very long. It only makes up 10% of your credit score. New credit, 10% of your credit score. The 5th and final one is credit mix. That's installment loans, mortgage loans, credit cards. Credit mix makes up 10% of your score. Why credit mix is so important? It is because the companies want to know that you can handle multiple lines of credit and various lines of credit, and that you are still responsible with them, okay? So those are your 5 major factors that make up your credit score. You got payment history, amount owed, length of credit history, new credit lines, and credit mix. Payment history, 35% of that score, that FICO credit score. Amount owed, 30% of that credit score. Length of credit history, 15% of that credit score. And the final 2, new credit and credit mix, are only 10%. I hope that clears some things up for you all. Maybe you learned something from that. Again, if you have any questions, any comments, if you're afraid to put it in the section below, send me a message. Anything that you want me to talk about, speak upon, comes to this credit, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out. That is what I am here for. Again, you know the YouTube, youtube.com /@progress in growth. That's PROGRESSN, the letter N, GROWTH. Find me on YouTube, subscribe, share, like, hit that button. You know the routine. Till next time, stay focused, stay humble, stay hungry, stay ahead.